Hi guys, this is Pat here from Rain Country. I'm out here in the shop today and resurrecting a couple old clamps that I found at a garage sale. When I bought them, they were all froze up, and Heidi got a few things, and I got these two little clamps and a couple other little things like for 75 cents. And I figured I could probably get them working again. So this one here is a little Jorgensen, and nice little clamp. Hell, now it is. But this, the tightening screw on this used to be froze up, and it was froze up to the point where I actually had to heat this up here, and I ruined the handle, you know, trying to get this off of here, working it back and forth. I actually had to, after a period of time, I actually had to put a pair of vice grips on here and work this back and forth, and finally got it to break loose. This got bent in the process. There's a little through pin in here, and now it's just basically it's a nail the same size as the hole that went through the shaft on this part that tightens. So how these clamps work, if you don't know, you put a piece of material in the middle here, and you push the clamp to and from in order to come up to whatever distance you have. You know, for instance, if you're clamping this piece of wood in here, you're clamping two pieces of wood together, you would run this up to the end of the board like that, and then you would finish tightening with this little handle here, and you get it really tight, and then that board's not going to move. So if you're gluing two pieces of boards together or wanting to hold something, you can use this clamp to do that kind of activity. So anyway, I had to replace this handle here, and I had to get this freed up here. It was just froze solid. It was just rusted all together. So now it works really well. And so I thought I would take you along and show you how I manufactured this little handle here on another clamp that I have that I bought the same sale. And you can see that's just a nail. Then I cut the nail off, and then I beat this part flat here to where it's not going to go anywhere. Actually, this handle here is actually a little bit better than the one that was on there. Made out of a little bit better wood. This is made out of birch. So I'll show you here what I have going on with this other little clamp. This is not a Jorgensen. It's a little cheaper version of the same thing. It'll work just as well, but again, I had to destroy basically the handle in order to get that off. Well, a guy might say, well, how come you didn't put the pliers on the threaded portion? I didn't want to, I didn't want to booger up the threads. I knew that I could make another handle. I knew how these handles were made, so I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and destroy the handle to get these things working again. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So in case you guys go to garage sale and you find an old tool that looks like it's way past its useful time, well, with a little bit of effort, you can rework them and get them to, bring them back to life again if you got the, the right tools. I mean, you could even carve these things out by hand and make them work. You just drill a hole in the bottom of this and get it to fit back on there, and make them work again. But this particular clamp, it's a cheaper version of a Jorgensen, and that little metal fixture that you see on here, this little metal piece right here, is actually thicker and a better quality than this little piece this one here on this other clamp. Completely destroyed that piece trying to get it off of here. Here's a part of the handle that got broke off, and as you can see, this was just made out of a limb. Now if you can see right here, that dark brown, that's the pith, that's the inside of a limb. Well, over on the wood lathe, I'm working on a new handle. I'll take you over to the wood lathe and show you what I got going on there. Okay, all I did was I took a little piece of limb off of our ash tree out in the front yard and fashioned this little handle that's very similar to the one that came off of there as far as size. And I have a piece of 1/2 inch galvanized pipe that I'm going to use for the collar on this. So I have to cut this collar down to fit this. So it's going to go right through this collar and into the wood and through the screw part of that clamp, and then that's gonna all be fastened together. I'll put a little bit of wood glue in there. I got to drill a hole into the handle in order to receive that screw portion, and so I'll show you all that when I get around to this. So this is finished, so I can remove this from the lathe. So I have to make this hole right here about halfway part into this, because that collar is going to be about a 1/2 inch in length. And then I have to drill a hole in the end of the handle to accommodate the shaft here, or this screw portion of this. So that has to go down, that hole has to be drilled in about, probably that far right there. And so what I'll do is I'll take a measurement between here and the end here, and then drill a hole between, so I know the depth I have to drill that hole. So right now I'm going to make this little collar, that little collar right there, and that's the inside diameter. The inside diameter of this collar is the same as the outside diameter of this this neck here. And so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to cut this off to length. So I'll have a little collar for this right here. The burrs out of the inside where I ground this on the grinder, so they don't cut me or cut whoever is using the clamp. I'll go ahead and drive this onto the end of the handle. Okay, that's a nice and tight fit, so that's not going to go anywhere. That just gives us strength right in here. A hole into the end of this to accommodate this shaft now. So what I want to do is I want to drill that hole approximately to the center here. I know how deep to drill the 3/8 inch hole into this handle. So I gotta drill that hole about 1 inch. Okay, so here we are over at the drill press, and I have to cut that 1 inch hole, that 1 inch deep hole, 3/8 of an inch wide, and I have this set up in the light there to where you can see where that right here is the center of the handle. I know that because it was on the wood lathe, and I cut it down to where it's about maybe 3/16 of an inch. And so I'm just going to basically eyeball right to the middle of that on my drill bit, and auger cut in a 1-inch hole into the handle. A piece of tape 1 inch above the end of the drill bit, so I know this will be my depth of cut for here. I'll drill until I get to the very end of the tape here, and so that'll tell me that I'm down 1 inch into the depth of the handle. So I know that there's better jigs out there, but this is just going to kind of get me in the ballpark. I don't care if it's perfectly straight up and down, but what part of what's going to help me here is to have this flat surface on the bottom for my turning, but that's not actually perfectly square either. So I'm thinking on the fly again. Wouldn't be doing this in the first place. He would just walk right straight past those, but I knew I could fix them, so that's why I bought them. Anyway, I'll go ahead and cut this off right here on the bandsaw, and then I'll set this up in this little jig here I got. To verify my correct depth here, I can hold that just like that, and that is 1 inch. One inch. Okay, now I have to go and drive this onto that shaft there, and hopefully the plan is to get capture that same hole. The truth of the matter is I probably won't, but I'll drill a new hole through there. Won't be no big deal, and we'll get a pin stuck in there. Basically, I'm just going to get a nail and drive in there. I'll show you that. Okay, that's going to fit on there nice and tightly. Again, there's a close-up of the hole. A little bit of wood glue on here. Don't really need it, but I'm going to put it in there anyhow. Guy doesn't need much. Just a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and run that in there tight. Now the last handle, I was actually able to penetrate that same exact hole. Now on this one here, the hole was kind of offset, and so I don't think that's going to happen the same way here. Now I know I'm bottomed out because that measurement that I took was right there at the edge of the thread, so that was a good reference for me to capture when I was sizing up the whole thing here. I'll just put a little bit of wood glue to kind of seal that end. Again, not really needed, but it ain't gonna hurt nothing either. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the same kind of nail that I used for this the other clamp. Simple nail here. A little galvanized nail, and what that keeps, it keeps the wooden portion from turning on the screw portion of the shaft here, and so it allows you to tighten. So I'm going to go ahead and find. So I have a little gauge here that shows me this nail here is 3/32 of an inch. Now if the galvanized portion, the galvanized finish was off of this nail, this would fit right into the 3/32 inch guide here. So I'm going to look for a drill bit that'll fit into the 3/32. I got just a smattering of drill bits here, so I'm going to look for the 3/32. That's the one right there. That's 3/32 right there. So I'll use this drill bit, and if I have to go up a size, that's all good too. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up and drill a hole in the handle here. Okay, all I have to do is just peen that over to keep that from falling back through the other side. That'll keep that solid. That's working nice. Give it the test here. I'll tighten it down nice and tight. Okay, that's not going anywhere. That'll hold anything I want it to hold. So now I have 2 clamps to add to my repertoire of tools. And this one here is definitely more skookum than the one that was on there. This little flimsy collar, what was, you know, I can bend this with my hand. And it's pretty chintzy. But this one here is made out of 1/2 inch galvanized pipe, so it's not going anywhere. But this one here was husky enough that I could straighten it back up and reuse it. Well, here you go. A couple of clamps done, and when I come across them, they were totally useless. You couldn't use them, but now they work good. Hope this helps somebody. You can replace these handles if you're patient enough. So I appreciate y'all coming by the shop again. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.